close game. The Giants don't usually blow anyone out, and the Lions kind of stick around in most of these games. Tank, could you see these guys coming out, the Lions, and covering that 3-point spread? Because I'm kind of thinking it might be a push here where the Giants, win by a field goal.
LJ, you know you're my girl, right? Like, we cool. Like, we've only known each other for a
Yeah, of
short
course.
amount of time, but
Of
I ride
course.
with you. Um,
We
and I
vibe.
know the Lions are your team. Yeah. I don't know. They're coming in off 2 wins. They beat
Oh, no.
divisional opponents. Now they have to travel to New York. They're facing a Giants team that's playing at home. They came off a bye and they beat the Houston
Yeah.
Texans, solidly, but at the same time, they let them kind of hang around for a little bit. I feel like this is a game where the Giants kind of reestablish that they're one of the better teams in the NFC. And with it being
Dang it.
45 and a half and -3, like I really wouldn't be surprised if the Giants cover here. If you look at it from a standpoint of what Justin Fields was able to do, Daniel Jones ain't that dude. Like we understand that, but he's used his legs a lot this season. I would see him doing that. He threw for 2 touchdowns last week. Saquon Barkley had
Mm-hmm.
152 rushing yards in the tub last week. Houston's really bad against the run. Detroit Lions are also really bad against the one. So what the Giants like to do on the offensive side of the ball pretty much jives with what you can do against the Detroit Lions. And then if you want to flip the script, I feel like the Giants defense, they're a little susceptible against the run. The Lions can run the ball, but Jared Goff, he's been pretty mediocre this middle part of the season compared to when he was kind of lighting it up the early part of the season, throwing it around. That may be
Mm-hmm.
due to a lot of injuries that they've had with the pass catchers, TJ Hawkinson not being there anymore. I know they get DJ Chark back this week. But that being said, I just feel like this is the time where a lot of the better teams and the guys with the better record seems to kind of rise to the top. And I expect the New York Giants to do this here and probably go ahead and get themselves a solid win over the Detroit Lions and then push towards some of these divisional matchups that they have with some of their rivals coming up here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, we're still cool, Tank. We're still cool because it's really hard for me to see the Lions actually getting a win here in this spot. The Giants, though, I feel like the way Jared, these two teams play are completely different. Like the Giants have hit the under in 7 of their last 9 games, and the Lions have hit one of the been one of the best teams to the over. They're 6-3 to the over this year. So when you look at a total that's 45 and a half, can you see the Giants maybe actually scoring a lot of points? Because Daniel Jones was 13 of 17 last week against the Texans.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about the Giants this year, and I think the number matters a lot in this game. I think it opened, the look ahead last week was 3.5. It jumped up to 4. And then when it reopened Sunday night, immediate Lions money bought down to 3.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense if you think about who the Giants are as a team. They're one of the worst teams in the first half this season, scoring just 7.5 points per game. I think only the Colts have a lower first half scoring rate. But then in the second half of games, Brian Dable and Mike Kafka are fantastic. Adjustments, and they are able to scheme their way to a top 5 EPA per play on offense in the second half of games this year. So it's kind of hard for me to consider laying a big number with New York over a field goal because more often than not, they're coming from behind and they're kind of playing this catch-up role. But that being said, this Lions defense scares me. And Saquon Barkley is really feeling it right now. Now he's coming off a 35 carry game. We'll see physically how he responds from that. I mean, but he was unbelievable last week. I mean, it was Saquon left, right, and center. And the Texans just couldn't stop it. And the Lions have struggled to stop the run this year. But I will say this. The Lions defense, I watched that game against Chicago, and I know they gave up a lot of points. Justin Fields was running all over the place. But the Lions defense has a little starch to them. Aiden Hutchinson looks fantastic. He made a couple of plays on the goal line where it was like a crash, like unblocked on a running play off the end, and he came straight down and just lassoed the running back and spun him around. I mean, you don't see defensive linemen make plays. Usually it's the safety that comes down in the box and crashes on the end unblocked. For a defensive lineman to make that kind of play. And again, he's one guy. We'll see what Evan Neal's status is this week. Of course, the right tackle for the Giants missed. He's trending okay. We don't know the injury reports now. We'll see. I think if he plays, I like the Giants a little bit more. But man, this is a tough game. to cap, because I think at 3.5, I really like the Lions. Because you're right, LJ. This is like 2017 Giants written all over it. At 3, I think it's probably a stay away or a slight bet on the Lions. But I kind of like this Detroit team a little bit. They're a little feisty. And we've been selling the Giants a lot this year because I think they're a little overvalued in the market.
Mm-hmm.
If we get a 3.5 at some point this week, I will bet the Lions. If not, it's probably a reluctant pass.